I'm in a tree. Super random, but I decided to climb a tree today, and then I just kind of felt like making a video, so here I am. Dorothea here of Raw Wanderlust, and today I wanted to share with you some of my tips on how to save big when it comes to flying. These are tips that I really wish someone had told me before I started traveling a lot, but alas, no one was there to tell me, or I wasn't there to listen. But luckily you found this video, and hopefully you can utilize what I'm about to say so that you can save on flying, and it'll inspire you to travel some more. The first tip I have is to know the little guys. Know the small, low-fare airlines, because they exist and they take you everywhere. Anywhere you want to go, there is a low-fare airline for you, I promise. No matter which continent, no matter which country, there's someone for you. I've had really good experiences with Southwest domestically within the US. I've also had good experiences with JetBlue, with Norwegian, flying to Europe specifically. I know there's really cheap flights to South America and Central America with Mexico. Yeah, there's tons of these guys, okay? And they offer you really, really, really good flights. A lot of the times at the expense of hidden fees, specifically with luggage, so it pays to travel light and to not be packing too much stuff. Sometimes you can actually save with these guys too, because they offer discounts if you're a student. So check into that and make sure that you're utilizing all of the discounts that they offer as well. A lot of the times what I like to do when I'm thinking about traveling is to look at a low-fare calendar. Google Travel has a really, really good site for this. Also, skyscanner.com is a favorite of mine to use. You can just punch in your dates, you can punch in the airport, or just say any airport within this radius, and it'll give you a whole calendar of the cheapest days to fly. And it's really nice, because then you can select when's the cheapest, and you end up saving. If you're really punched into like a specific time and a specific day when you need to get somewhere, the chances of you finding the cheapest flight are not that great. So it pays to be flexible. Also with the time of year that you're flying. So September, March, those times of year tend to be cheaper than, say, during the holiday season. Also flying on off days, such as Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Booking travel on Tuesdays and Wednesdays is also those are also cheap days to book. Kind of random, but okay. And also being flexible with time of day. So with red eyes, for example, red eyes are always going to be harder for the airlines to fill than during business hours. Be flexible in regards to where you're flying out of and where you're flying into. The bigger the city, the bigger the hub, the cheaper the flights are going to be, as a general rule. There are, for example, really, really cheap flights in and out of New York, because there are so many people that go in and out of there every single day. Sometimes it makes sense to go out of your way to get to those bigger cities in order to fly out of or fly into them, which maybe seems a little bit backwards, but I promise you it can actually save you money in the end. This next tip is something really special. I've not only saved a lot of money by doing this, but I've actually gotten paid to fly by doing this, which is incredible in my opinion. And that is, once you've booked your flight, you're at the gate, you're waiting for your flight, go to the ticket counter and ask the person working there, hey, if you need someone to get bumped, if you're overbooked, I can be that person. Again, this goes with being flexible and being able to not need to be at your destination at a certain time. But by doing this, if they need to bump you and you volunteered yourself, then they should definitely be giving you vouchers for this, which is really exciting, because a lot of the times when I pay for a flight, I pay for like the non-refundable, cheapest flight that I can get, and they'll refund you for the most expensive. So business class or whatever it is that's the most expensive, and sometimes they'll even give you a hotel or, free transportation around the city or whatever it might be. Definitely try and negotiate with the people there as far as what they can offer you. This negotiating also goes for canceled and delayed flights. If you know how to complain, it can make a really, really, really big difference in what you can get from the airlines. It sounds kind of bad. You don't want to be necessarily using them, but you also don't want to be complacent when you have a bad experience. I've had some really horrendous experiences with travel, and by complaining to them, a lot of the times with the more serious stuff in writing, because they need to know exactly what flight it was and what happened and specifics, by doing that, they will actually give you flight vouchers and they'll pay you to fly in the future with them. So these tips have only been for flying, but there are other methods of getting around that are cheaper, that are more eco-friendly, that make more sense depending on where you're going and what kind of time frame you have. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down below. You can like this video if you liked it, and you can also check out an article I wrote on this exact same subject where I went into a lot more detail and give more websites and resources, and that can be found on my website, which is rawwanderlust.com. Thanks, guys. People say, oh, I can't travel because it costs too much, and like flying to Europe, that's $1,000, that's $1,000. I'm like, no, you don't know what you're talking about, okay?